welcome to the Talkies. It is the day you've been waiting for.
That's the day we've been waiting for.
Star Wars.
This has been hyped since episode 8.
Yep.
It has been hyped.
The hype beast is exhausted.
Was it episode 8 or was it episode 7? Did we even talk about episode 7?
Well, no, we never did in episode 7 because we weren't doing Talkies when episode 7 came out.
So, how sad.
Yeah. Last Jedi, I believe, is episode 5 of the Talkies. The 5th episode we ever did.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I still think it's our longest episode, too.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can beat it.
We have to get like 2 hours to beat it.
I don't know if I can manage that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'm going to manage.
What did Finn want to tell Rey that he never told her?
He's gay.
That was it?
That was it.
Why would he want to tell her
He
that?
just really wanted to tell her he's gay. Yeah.
That's why Poe was really concerned.
That's why Poe was concerned.
Because they're in a relationship.
Because they're in a
Like,
relationship.
what are you going to tell her? And he's like, nothing, man. Mind your own business.
Right.
But then he never tells
He
us.
secretly loves Poe. Yeah. So.
Well, no, actually, that's
Why
brilliant.
would he tell her?
He wanted to tell Rey so that Rey doesn't get, emotional about it.
The thing is, though, here's the thing. Here's why that's brilliant. Star Wars. This movie is not from Finn's perspective, and so because of that, because nobody else in the movie gets to learn what Finn wanted to say, neither does the audience. Because you know what, we're not in his perspective, so that's actually brilliant.
Wow.
All right, now that we got that important question out of the way, let's go with first impressions, eh?
Okay, real first impressions.
Yeah,
Real first.
I don't want to go first.
Okay,
I'll go first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I saw this movie twice.
Yeah.
Saw it once with the wife, and then saw it once with you guys. First time I saw it, I had gone in with the expectations of, I wonder how they're going to continue now that episode 8 left this whole mess. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, hey, they actually told a pretty well constructed story. That's pretty cool. And then the second time was more or less the same. So I was like, yeah, the story was a story. Look at that. It played out as arcs. Rey had characterization. That was pretty cool. It met all the minimum requirements required for a story to have.
That is exactly what I want when I go to the movie. Go to the movies,
Especially a Star Wars movie.
Really want to just
The bare minimum.
I feel like my expectations, because you guys hated
Also,
as much.
I don't agree with you, by the way.
Okay, well, regardless,
Yeah.
I feel like my expectations were much lower than y'all, than both of yours.
Interesting.
Anyway,
felt
that
like
was
my
me.
expectations couldn't have gone any lower.
That was me.
You go.
Okay.
I don't want to go.
My opinion is this was simultaneously the worst and best movie of the new Star Wars films.
Okay.
Best.
That's an oxymoron.
Best. It is. But let me give context
Okay.
to that outrageous statement. If it were a standalone movie, and we could just detach ourselves from the emotions of all things that are Star Wars, I think it is the most. It makes for the best summer popcorn flick, like just a decent top to bottom action movie with lots of spectacle. It has a sort of a story. It's okay. But as a Star Wars film,
Which it is.
yes, it is,
And you can't really
and
ignore that.
And I am, yes.
Wait, there's Star Wars in this?
Yeah, believe
In
it or
fact,
not.
first and foremost, it is specifically episode 9, which means it's part of a larger story, and
Yeah.
the context matters. It is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
It is garbage, and it infuriates me. And I went in thinking that nothing could be so bad that it would make me angry. And this movie made me angry. It did. It made me angry, and we'll get into the reasons why.
Yeah. My first impressions were... I had very, 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 very low expectations. I was just curious what they were going to do. And they pretty much did everything that I hoped it wouldn't do.
Oh, also, you guys had both read the leaks before.
Yeah, and so me and Kenny were both following the leaks leading up to it.
Yeah.
And so the question was always like, are they real leaks? The leaks sounded terrible.
Right.
Sounded awful. And it turned out pretty much all of the leaks were true.
Yeah.
Which
I
was
only
crazy.
read one leak that wasn't true.
Yeah.
And it was that during the battle at the end, the Millennium Falcon gets blown up with Lando, Chewbacca, and C-3PO and R2-D2 in it.
4 deaths in one, huh?
Yeah. And I was like, geez. Not true, though. Because that would have consequences.
I was a little worried
Nothing in this movie has consequences.
that the leaks were going to be coloring my judgment. But surprisingly, I would have to say that it was a little bit better than what I expected it to be.
Same.
Because my expectations were so low.
I actually came out thinking,
yeah.
well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's how I felt too.
Yeah. But the thing
even though
is,
I didn't read the leaks.
That I still think it doesn't work at all. Like I don't think
like as a movie.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think it works at all as a movie. I don't think it works. I don't think the story works really at all, and I think it's garbage. I think it's pretty much just trash. You know what? I don't want to high five over how bad a Star Wars movie is. That's not cool. I don't want to celebrate a terrible Star Wars movie. That's a sad thing.
No, we're celebrating our friendship. We're celebrating our,
you know why I gave you a high
mutual
five?
dislike.
Because I posted my opinion on Facebook, and I have an entire feed of people who fundamentally disagree with me.
Yeah, you've been ganged up on.
Okay.
Been arguing with these people for 4 days.
So let's use that as a segue. Let's get to the fundamentals of the movie.
Okay.
As the movie itself, a story, just by itself, obviously it's connected to the other parts of the movie, or other parts of the series. But as a story that has a beginning, middle, and end itself, I think it succeeded creating a beginning, middle, and end. I'm not saying that those things are good, but it had it in it.
Yeah.
It does have a beginning. It does start.
It
It
literally
does
has a
have a
middle
middle
and
part, and it does end.
So,
but I feel like the story is almost more formatted like a video game with levels.
absolutely.
I've heard that comparison a
Then a
lot. Yeah, I think
3-part.
that's pretty
Absolutely.
accurate.
You know, like I don't
Yeah.
feel like it's a 3-act story so
No,
much.
but
It's
it
like a
does.
60-act story.
Yeah, it's like
60
Wayfinder.
mini acts.
It went from having we have to find the Wayfinder to we have to find the dagger.
Yeah.
To we have to decode the dagger. To I don't even remember what was after that.
So the basic
get the Falcon back.
Well, no. So the basic premise of the story was Rey is, or well, it said it in the beginning crawl, right? That everyone heard this new thing from Palpatine, right? That this is dumb. We're gonna skip over that part for a second, knowing it's already dumb. Okay, going into it.
Not only is it, it's
No, we're coming
honestly
back.
though, it's beyond dumb. Like it's beyond dumb.
No, it's retarded. No, I'm
We're coming
going that
back
way.
to that.
Okay. Go.
Yes, we are coming back.
Yeah.
I'm just making, just building a little foundation.
Fine.
Okay, go,
Let's
go.
get it over with.
So everyone in the universe heard Palpatine's new announcement that something about he's coming back from the dead for some reason. Zombie fucking emperor.
Yep.
He tweeted.
He tweeted, yeah,
Pops back.
and then created a new empire called the Final Order.
The Final Order.
Yeah, and now
Better costumes.
yeah, and so now we're trying to stop the Final Order, right? That's the basic premise
Yeah.
of the movie.
That's the basic premise of Force Awakens.
Yes, it is. And then so
New
to
Hope?
get to that end, we have 2 plot devices, right? We have the dagger and the Wayfinder, right? And that's it. That's what the story is. So I think we can all agree that was the story and that happened.
That happened. I don't think it tells a good. I don't know.
I
I
didn't
don't
say
even know if
good.
it tells a story. Honestly,
That is a story. That's a story.
I don't know. Okay, yeah, it is a story. Yeah, I think it's maybe the worst possible way you could write this
So
story.
I want to say that what's his name, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Jar Jar?
I'm not sure if.
Jar Jar Abrams.
I'm not sure if he
Wrecked.
had anything to do with the story aspect of this movie, but I feel
Pretty
like
sure he has a writing credit.
I feel like this movie is very him, and all the movies that he's made. I'm not a big JJ fan. He makes story structures like these a lot, and he's really, really fluent in plot devices.
That's
He
true.
uses them a lot.
That's true.
And they're really, it's bad. You know, like
This is his most egregious use of them.
Very much.
He completely crutches on
Yeah.
plot devices.
It's
whole way
the
through.
first thing in the movie is Kylo opening a chest and pulling out that
And
little
pulling out
pyramid
that,
and being
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
now I'll go. You know, and
It's
I'm
just
like,
tedious.
yeah.
What? Anyway,
yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to combat that with.
Thank
I think
you.
it does say a story.
All right, now that that's said, let's start with the opening crawl. Let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
So the only good thing you can say about this movie is that it, in fact, has a story.
It does have a story.
Yeah.
I'm just it's not defending. I'm saying it has a story.
It in fact has a story. All right, Star Wars Episode 9 has a story.
No. Because Episode 8 didn't have one.
Episode 8 didn't have a story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a step forward.
Episode 8 did not have a story. It was about them surviving the Empire.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that
It was
was it.
basically.
Why
a
is
chase
that
scene.
not a story though?
It was a chase.
Why is
scene.
that not a story?
Why is it? Yeah, why is it
There
not
was
a
no
story?
goal to have, and there was no end point.
What is the goal to survive?
Right. Well, we don't know until the end, right? So what? Can you name any one person's goal? Can you name any point of Episode 8 happening?
Not where
no,
the
no.
goals were succeeded.
No, Last Jedi does not move the story along.
So
at all.
so 7.
I agree.
Episode 7
I was just
had
curious.
Episode 7 had an ender of the new Death Star being crumbled, right? And trying to beat the First Order.
Star Killer base.
Yeah. Episode 9, the Palpatine had to be crushed. Episode 8,
Nothing happens.
and nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when the first trailer was released for this movie, and they debuted an Emperor laugh at the end of it as a big tease of what was coming,
Yeah.
I was very dubious. Very dubious.
I was
From-
shocked
from
that they
back
revealed
then.
that.
Well,
It's a pretty big
That's
reveal.
a huge reveal.
apparently not, because they put it in the opening crawl of the
Well,
movie.
right, yeah.
Right.
In
That
context,
was insane
we know
to
it's
me.
not. Yeah.
That the first line of the opening
Yeah.
crawl was literally Palpatine's back. So now let's on with the movie.
I think it's fine that they did that, though, because it's not like they're trying to hide it, you know?
It's stupid because
Yeah.
it's just thrown at you with no explanation, and they don't even really attempt to explain it at all.
Do they have to?
Kinda. I feel like if you show a
but we're talking
character
about- 'cause we're-
die, you should explain why they're back.
Okay, yeah. So,
Especially when
so
their
because
death
we
was
saw
so
them.
pivotal.
Right.
Right?
So that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Bringing back a character from three episodes
is,
ago.
And this is
Yeah.
getting back to the overarching problem of it being a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Is how it recontextualizes the rest of the movies.
Yeah.
This is what obviously Episode 8 had a lot of issues. But the thing that bothered me the most was what they did with Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Because Luke is now a shell of a man with no optimism,
Yeah.
no hope at all,
Yeah.
who tries to murder people in their sleep. He has a bad dream about Kylo Ren becoming a bad guy, and he's like, I'm going to murder him in his sleep.
Yeah.
When he refused to kill Darth Vader, who had already murdered many
Right.
many
Yeah.
people.
His character was broken.
Yeah, he's
absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
so it's like, I just hated that.
Yeah.
Because it hurt what I already had, right?
Yeah.
It's literally taking a big chop out of what was important to me before.
And it's redefining the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Rise of Skywalker, I feel like does that even worse.
Changes who?
Recontextualizes the significance of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because up until this new trilogy, the story of Star Wars was Anakin Skywalker's rise, fall, redemption to bring to rid the universe of the Sith and bring peace to the galaxy. Right? That was the story.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's something else. I don't know what it is.
No, it's the same. It's the story, but it happened again.
Right. So it happened again.
Yeah.
So it's like it used to be that Darth Vader started and finished the movie, the whole story, and in destroying Palpatine, ended the threat, and there are all these celebrations all over the universe that were legit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it turns out he didn't stop Palpatine. He just very briefly inconvenienced him. Because it's not like Palpatine was gone after that.
Yeah.
In Episode 7, Starkiller Base is already constructed.
Yeah.
It's
That
already
doesn't-
there.
That doesn't have anything to do with Palpatine.
Yes, it does. He orchestrated the whole thing.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
did.
He says at the beginning of the movie.
A First
Order
Yeah, yeah.
and Snoke were him.
So why then have a final order at all?
Because they're stupid. It's a bad movie.
That doesn't.
So
It's because why have a final order? Because because Ryan Johnson killed Snoke and stunted the momentum.
If you
of
want to be
that.
reductionist, then we can go far more reductionist than that, right? We can just say that 7, 8, and 9 are not even connected to the rest of the movies because Disney just wanted to put out Star Wars.
Well, I'd say that's accurate.
That's accurate.
That is true.
Yeah.
So anything that they do in these series I feel like they have no connection with the others anyway. But putting that beyond us, it doesn't matter. We're saying, geez, this is hard. We're saying Palpatine.
I think the final order
Palpatine was behind it all.
The final order
Yeah.
was the way for Palpatine to have another super weapon. Because there was two things missing at the end of Ryan Johnson's movie. There was no more super bad guy, and there was no more super weapon. Right?
Yeah.
The two things that were pivotal to how J.J. Abrams saw Star Wars.
But what we're saying is that Palpatine says that was his plan all along.
Yeah, well, according to that, it was also his plan to be killed by Darth Vader.
When did he say these things?
At the very beginning.
Yeah, at the
What does he
beginning of the
say?
When
movie.
Kylo Ren walks in.
He literally
He
says,
says,
I've been
"My
the voices
boy."
in your head. I am
I've been the
Snoke.
voices in your
I
head,
am
yeah.
this. I am Darth Vader.
He didn't say he was Darth Vader. He said he was the voices in his head.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say he was Darth Vader, but he did say that he was the First Order.
That he created Snoke. He said that he was the First Order.
He said, I am Snoke and the First Order.
Oh, okay.
So
So if we're saying that
Snoke was his puppet.
Yeah.
Snoke was what created the First Order.
Oh, that's right. Okay. See, that makes more sense
Yeah.
to me. Okay, so Snoke.
Snape?
Snoke. That's a movie I want to see now. Metal Gear Snoke.
Whoa.
So that's what I'm saying. If
it is
if he is Snoke, then yes, the First Order is his creation. And at the beginning of Episode 7, Starkiller Base has already been constructed, which I'm guessing in Star Wars time at least took a few months.
But not only was Starkiller Base constructed, which was carved into an entire planet.
It's got to be huge. It's got to take
It's
forever.
huge, but not only is that constructed, but he had constructed an entire fleet of Star Destroyers and an entire army
Yeah, so it looks to me
in between
That-
Return of the Jedi and now.
It suggests to me that Palpatine never stopped having influence at all. Like he was thrown down that shaft and immediately morphed back into some other body or
Right.
whatever he did, Sith magic.
So we're saying that part of the reason why Episode 9 is so bad is because of the implications of what it was saying about the other movies, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what bothers me the most.
Right.
Is now I see Darth Vader throwing this guy down the chute.
Right.
And all the Ewoks and everyone cheering and celebrating, and they pull down the statue of Palpatine at Coruscant and
Yeah.
all that. And according to this, that they didn't succeed. The moment wasn't actually earned.
So continuity in itself, behind, but interconnecting all these movies together, I feel like was broken in the original series. You know, because if we're talking about that, if that's what makes a bad movie, I feel like all of them are bad for that reason.
Yeah, but I think that you're taking that to a much more extreme level.
No, I can say that about Episode 5.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think it's the same thing because those three
Yeah.
work together to tell one person's story.
Okay,
George
but then
Lucas's story.
But then the
that he wants to
prequels
do.
go against it also.
That's true, but
Yeah.
I'm not defending the prequels. I'm defending the original
Okay,
trilogy.
well then I'll attack the prequels.
The prequels have a whole slew of issues. I've defined it this way before. The original trilogy, I think, is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it was the unique combination of a creative genius
Yeah.
with just the right amount of corporate oversight, holding back many of the reins that he would otherwise.
You're talking about the prequels were?
No.
Oh, the original trilogy. Yeah.
The prequels were a creative genius with no corporate oversight whatsoever.
Right.
The new trilogy is all corporate oversight with
Sure.
no creative genius.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
And-
But I'd say that's what makes them bad is the corporate oversight, not the implications of the continuity between the whole series.
Well, I think they're connected to each other.
But if
right?
they are, then the prequels are bad for the same reason.
Everyone's been saying that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
You would say that you like the prequels better than this.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Okay. So I would
mostly
I would just,
because while the prequels are not nearly as good storytelling
Yeah.
as the original trilogy, the prequels are at very least an expression of one creative storyteller.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say
Whereas this
episode
is just fractured all over the place.
I'd say episode 9 had a better story than probably all of the prequels.
I can't go there
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah,
Not at all.
I would say that.
Not
And
at all. Story structure wise, all
Yeah.
the prequels have beginning, middle, end.
they are terrible
arcs.
stories.
No, they're just over dramatic,
Yeah.
but they're not bad stories.
I don't know.
They feel like
episode 1.
Shakespeare.
Episode
They
1
feel
is
like
that way.
Shakespeare and Greek myth, and
I suppose so,
they're just
yeah.
really self-indulgent.
They're super self-indulgent,
Right.
extremely melodramatic, way over the top.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it does tell a coherent story that is consistent within its own 3 movies.
Within its own, yeah, I suppose. But the interconnectivity then with the content with the original series.
But
is
even beyond
broken.
that,
Yeah.
even with the sequel trilogy, even
Yeah.
within its own trilogy, the continuity doesn't hold up.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because like Kenny said, it's corporate oversight
Yeah.
only. Yeah.
And it's absurd.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
well, and so this is why I came out of episode 9 a little bit more positive than I think you guys did, is because if you remember when we're talking about Dadaism, right? A urinal on display as art, right? A urinal is not art, but the person who put it up there decided to put it up there to say, hey guys, if you guys think this is art, this is art. Someone who would go over there to the urinal and then start critiquing it why it's bad art is stupid. You can just say, no, it's a urinal. It's not supposed to be art. It's just there. So that's how I'm feeling like episode 9 is.
You don't think episode 9 is art?
I don't think, no, I don't. I don't think episode 9 is in any way, shape, or form a Star Wars movie to be withheld and looked at as a movie.
You don't even count it as canon?
I don't. No,
You don't
it's
even
not
count
in
it-
episode 7 or 8 either.
You don't even count it. You don't count it as canon, and you don't count it as art.
No, I see this whole
Is
trilogy
that correct?
as,
Or no?
I don't know what you, I'm trying to
I'm trying
explain
to
that
understand
right
what
now.
you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm saying episode 7, 8, and 9 altogether, this whole new trilogy, has been just corporate sludge that was kicked out of Disney just so you can get more people into the theaters to get this IP rolling again, right? So
I think that's true.
So they can create things like Mandalorian.
I think
and all
that's
that
true.
stuff.
But do you
Yeah.
think that something like that could exist and be art?
Art is such a huge term.
Well, what do you
So,
think?
I don't know. I really don't know.
If art is defined by creative expression.
Creative expression,
Yeah.
then it's half art, is what this is.
Half fart.
It's half fart.
Half art?
It's funny. I was just reminded of the Lighthouse when we were talking about how the fart jokes were stupid, and now we just made one here.
I like the fart jokes in my house.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah.
So I feel like
So-
critique of it is stupid.
I guess so. The thing is, if I could allow myself to go where you went there, then I don't even think I could bring myself to watch the movie at all.
Nor
Well,
would
I
I
didn't
want
want
to
to.
discuss it.
No,
Like-
I love discussing it because
Yeah.
I love.
It's only interesting to discuss to me as
Yeah.
part of Star Wars because I care about Star Wars, and I see myself as part of the rebellion now, and Disney is the empire, and I'm trying to fight for what makes Star Wars right.
Yeah,
Star Wars, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Star Wars is completely broken.
absolutely.
And I don't know that I was going to go on a tangent here. It is broken, and I don't know how it's even possible to make a Star Wars movie at this point that would satisfy people
Which
at
is
all.
yeah, which is what I thought going into episode 9.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way this is ever going to do anything that's good.
See, I think that I felt the same way.
Yeah.
But I was eager to. I was expecting JJ to try anyway.
I think, and the thing is, I think he try.
did, yeah. And what he did, you just didn't like. I mean, because like the things that I liked about the movie were things that again brought it to more of a movie level to me, to where I'm seeing characterization, regular basic characterization that they didn't do in 8 at all.
You know, I will say this: the main three characters held their own better in
That's what I'm
this
saying,
movie,
right? Like Ray had an arc, right? Poe at least had some sort of personality, and Finn.
He was still terrible.
And
Poe
Finn
sucks so
Poe
hard.
is the worst.
Yeah.
And Finn actually had dialogue.
Finn was much better.
Oh,
that was
sorry.
interesting.
I actually meant to say Finn.
Yeah,
was the worst.
Finn was.
Poe sucks too. But
Finn
Poe
had
sucks.
zero.
Finn is the worst.
Finn had zero characterization at all in 8 whatsoever.
In pretty much almost all three of them.
Almost all 3. Yeah, 7 was pretty
tiny
thin.
bit.
He was very thin.
In the very beginning, he gets a tiny bit.
This character in 9 is the extension of that one.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that's what made me go, oh, that's okay. They didn't. It's not garbage.
Oh, they got one of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Barely.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
For once, they got 2 scenes.
Yeah. Again, I'm looking
Correct,
at
in the whole trilogy.
I'm looking at the urinal
was
on display,
the-
and I'm like, okay, well, at least it's on a
This
good
was
pedestal.
the first time
you know?
I disagree that I don't think that this movie is art. I
don't want to have that debate.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Well,
yeah.
you're the one who brought up Dadaism. That's the stuff I'm
not
talk
saying
about.
that the movie is Dadaist. I'm not saying that the movie's not art. I'm saying that the movie, and in general, shouldn't be judged the same as other Star Wars movies. Because I feel like
I don't understand why.
Because it's a corporate sludge shit from the beginning, from 7, 8, and 9. They're just all this way, you know.
I don't know. I wouldn't make that.
That's how
distinction.
far I'm going with it.
I wouldn't make that distinction because if you go that way, if it's all corporate, then like most movies made you from your perspective, right? You would just not care about
movies. Movies in general are made for that reason. Absolutely, they are. But there are some that have a lot more expressionist in them than others. And expressionist being that the person who, the mind behind it that really wanted to create something specific is there. And in here, it's not.
What about in the
That's
case
happened
for the Last
the original
Jedi?
Star Wars movies.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Well, Last Jedi, Rian Johnson had creative control.
Right, which I think I like the most. Not that I like that episode at all, but
You would judge that movie within the other Star Wars movies then?
I would say, I don't know what you're asking. What are you asking?
Because you're saying you would not judge these new movies within the context of the other Star Wars movies because they're made by corporate oversight, made by committee, correct?
They're made mostly by committee.
Right.
Yeah, they feel like other Disney movies.
Would you judge The Last Jedi in the context of the other Star Wars movies?
Oh, a little bit less. Yeah, I judge it a little
creative.
bit less than these ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so force healing. I've got to talk about force healing.
Go ahead.
Please.
Death means nothing.
This
in
drove
Star
me
Wars.
nuts. That's another
Yeah.
thing that recontextualizes everything going back to the very beginning. Unless we're to suggest that Rey literally discovered or invented force healing. Which I have a hard time buying that. We have Qui-Gon Jinn saying that Jedis had their heyday like 1,000 years before.
Yeah.
Jedis have been around a very, very long time. We have Obi-Wan sort of quasi-heals Luke.
I think we're meant to imply or infer that her powers are so strong, that of Palpatine, that she can do things like that.
She can. So is it a dark side thing? Is she
No,
is she Darth Plagueising and manipulating life?
I think that's what we're meant to infer. Yeah.
That shouldn't be right.
I think so because they talk about how the power in her, she has the power of Palpatine, right?
So, Kylo Ren gets run through with a lightsaber, the identical wound that killed Qui-Gon Jinn,
Yeah.
and she just says, "I take it back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I did that."
Because she's
Take
so
it back."
powerful, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
dumb.
that was the
It's incredibly dumb.
That was the third time something potentially horrific, potentially with weight and consequence, was taken back.
Yeah.
And it happened at least 4 times.
Yeah.
There was Kylo getting stabbed,
Yeah.
and then he reversed. C-3PO has his emotional goodbye to his best buddies,
Which,
who he
reversed.
doesn't even know.
Well, I saw that, and the second time we watched it was they talk about. They just glaze over it, but they say the R2 unit stores your memories, right? And he's like, oh yeah, but it hasn't been updated in so long.
Yeah.
They just there's 2 lines.
I know,
that was
right?
it.
And then R2's like, hey, plug in, I'll give you your memory back. right?
And it's all good.
Okay.
Everything's
so
fine.
that didn't
Yeah.
matter at all.
It didn't.
The moment, the blowing up Chewbacca,
Yeah.
which by the way would have been an excellent
It would have been an excellent send-off. Yeah.
for like I really wish they'd held on to that.
No, go continue because I have more to say about that.
So they'd say the fake blow up of Chewbacca didn't really happen, and then Palpatine force lightnings the fleet up in space,
and I have more to say about that.
Apparently, it has very temporary effects. Like all it does is it makes your ship just kind of stall for a few seconds, and then they're fine. They just go back.
It's all good.
It's like it was a very impressive moment, but it didn't have any consequences, and nothing had consequences in this movie except for Kylo Ren giving his life to Rey.
Right.
It's the only thing was permanent.
It's the only thing in the whole trilogy that's
we
permanent.
don't even know if that's permanent.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, he's
going to
back.
come back.
No one's ever really gone. Yeah, I totally agree that this movie and ultimately the trilogy, because of this movie, how this movie ends and all that, how that caps off the trilogy, that I think everybody involved with Star Wars is terrified of making any concrete, consequential decision within the universe.
Right.
It's like they want to work within it, but they don't want to. They simultaneously don't want to do anything.
Tell stories.
Yeah, they don't want to make anything that'll change stuff too much or do anything that will have consequences going forward. They don't want to They don't want to close any doors.
Right. Which is why the killing of Han, I think, got so many surprises.
Right, because that was something that had consequences.
It didn't have consequence, but they were capping off something.
Yeah, they capped off something.
Yeah.
Well, it had the consequence was that he was gone.
Right, exactly.
At least
Which he
the
wasn't.
bare minimum consequence.
Yeah, I mean, in episode 7, it wasn't. It was a surprise that he was in it at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
In episode,
they could have done without just him at all. Really.
in episode
Or Leia.
9?
In episode 8 and 9, like Han.
Han Solo?
No, I'm saying Han didn't have to be in 7 at all, and it wouldn't have mattered. Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Well,
It could have been anybody.
He didn't really do much.
Right.
Yeah.
He just facilitated.
Right.
And
He was just an icon, as was Leia.
Yeah. And then he shows up in 9
as a
memory,
As a memory, yeah.
projection, hallucination that gives him very good advice.
and
It's-
touches his face.
You know
And,
what's
yeah,
funny?
physically touches him.
Like we talk about this moment that us three have talked about it already, but that moment where he appears and has probably the best characterization I've seen of him in this trilogy. Just in that little moment.
Han?
Yeah. But him being so clear and just looking like it's another person rather than a force projection or something like that.
Well, the fans would have absolutely rioted if he came back as a Force ghost.
This is the problem.
That would
Because the universe itself has something like force ghosts in it, and because we've now seen astral projection across like planets, the fact that he shows up as a person in any other movie, it would have been fine. You're just like, oh, it's just a memory. But in this movie now, it's actually hard
That's what I
to
mean.
grasp.
It's like, what is he?
There's
What
two
just happened?
other
Like,
separate
it's not
abilities.
clear.
Yeah.
Two other whole separate abilities that exist in this universe of having somebody who has been dead or in another place
Right.
exist as a spirit. So
Yeah.
it is weird.
It's very
And
strange, yeah.
speaking of Force ghosts, this is the other thing that's driving me nuts, right? So we got the Force healing thing, which if that were around, the entire series would have been different. I mean, if Anakin knew he could just heal Padme, then he wouldn't have become Darth Vader in the first place.
Wait, wasn't he trying to become that person though?
He wanted to, but
Yeah.
it turns out he might have had the talent all along.
Well, it turns out you need to have the Emperor's abilities.
No, he was only the
He was
chosen.
right.
He was only the
was
chosen
right.
one.
Maybe he was right to seek Palpatine.
Yeah, he was only the chosen.
He was just the chosen one.
that's a good point.
So he wasn't that good at the Force.
Not that important.
Yeah.
He was just the chosen one.
Yeah, he wasn't very good at the Force.
Yeah.
Just
you're
the
right.
chosen
You're right.
one.
You're right. Yeah.
He wasn't a dyad.
Point is,
He wasn't right.
until in the original trilogy, Force ghosts could give advice, and they could occasionally be a voice in your head. but they couldn't do things for you, right?
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker is lining up his computer to take the shot at the Death Star, and then Obi-Wan says, use the Force, not the computer. And he goes, all right, okay? Luke, the human, fires the torpedoes, okay? Luke Skywalker, the Force ghost, catches a lightsaber physically in this movie.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, the Force ghost, lifts the X-Wing out of the ocean.
Well, I mean, Yoda in number 8 brought the weather to
Right.
lightning strike.
Right. Which, from what I remember, creating lightning in any way is usually a dark side thing. So there's that. But not only does he lift the X-Wing out of the water, but he's like breathing hard, like it's difficult, right?
So why doesn't Luke hop into a lightsaber duel that's happening between?
Why haven't him and Yoda gone and chopped up Palpatine themselves? They can hold lightsabers. They can use the Force to move things in the world. They can summon lightning.
Because they didn't.
And they're invincible.
And they
Because
can't
they're
die. So it's like what? We have like these like all powerful Jedis that do nothing.
The Force doesn't work that way.
Why?
The writing doesn't work that way.
So I'm like, why? Like,
Because it's convenient.
that's just
it's
it.
always that
They're
way,
taking
yeah.
these lazy choices.
Yeah.
But the choices have consequences.
Yeah.
Because they're creating new holes that didn't even have to be there.
Right.
Right?
And it's diluting a
Like,
world.
what if you had Rey
It's
lift
diluting the world, is what
the
it
X-Wing
is.
out? Just have Rey lift the X-Wing out. Don't have Force Ghost
Well, yeah.
Luke do that?
I mean, the plot holes are stupid. And they're a relic of bad writing. That's what it is. There's a lot in this movie. So go back to the Chewbacca thing about when he was being taken, and the only transport that we saw that was apparently there was 2.
Yeah.
So strange.
Yeah, where that other one.
Yeah. So
Remember the other one? No, you don't, because it wasn't there.
when Rey shoots the lightning from her hand, that was I think the only point in the movie, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I like that.
That was
part.
cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because it shows something in her, right? It shows something that was not under her control, and it has consequences in the world. And to make a main character like Chewbacca be a part of that series is a really interesting and emotional thing to do, and that they just decided not to stick with.
Yeah.
Which was really stupid.
It was what I thought I saw something developing there that was exciting, but they didn't pay it off. Because it would have been really cool to watch Rey continue to just slip down
that's the other
path to the dark side.
Yeah.
And then she ends up having to be redeemed, rescued by Kylo.
From the very beginning
That'd be good.
of this movie, of episode 9, Rey has only been using hate the whole time.
Yeah.
She's only been using vengeance. She's been yelling and screaming the whole time. Like the things that Luke was doing in the end of episode 6, right? When Luke is like smashing his saber against Vader.
Best scene in all of Star Wars right there.
Yeah, and the Emperor is laughing the whole time.
Yeah, because that's exactly what the
It's
Emperor
exactly
wants.
what you want, right?
Yeah.
And then Luke finds out that he's doing that and backs off.
Yeah.
And the whole time, Rey is like a freaking what's the word? Rey is insane in here. She's using very emotional attacks and very emotional things. And because of all that, because like even in the prequels, they showed Anakin being very emotional during these times, and they're talking about how Jedi doesn't use emotion for that thing, and that they're not like quote allowed to love because of the same emotions that take over.
Attachment creates fear.
So I'm just like, why are you having all this huge aggressiveness and not have any kind of slipping into this Sith side, which would have been way more interesting, and it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, there are at least 60,000 Sith in that arena. So, I mean, what's one less Sith? I mean, we don't really need Rey to be a Sith. There's at least 100,000 that all bought tickets to the show.
The creation of the whole Sith world and Exegol and
the Latin chanters.
The Latin chanters. That was so strange to me because the Jedi. The the Jedi in the original series and in the prequels, the Jedi are just known as these warriors, and the Sith are just the opposite of that, right? And so by this time, where Rey's never even heard of a Jedi in Episode 7, they're just extinct, right? They're just not there anymore. It's an idea. They used to be a religion or something like that, and now, but instead, it's actually like the Sith are like. They have a secret lair.
They have a language.
They have a language and a lair, and they're evil, and they have like a base and everything. I'm like, that's not. The Sith are just supposed to be like an opposite to a religion, like Satanism, right? That's not.
They have a.
They hang out. They.
Yeah, it is.
They have Sith troopers.
You've been to the Satanist state, right?
Yeah.
Sith troopers.
And Sith.
That was a little weird.
This is what needs to happen for Star Wars. Here's the ideal. In a perfect world where I have complete control, where I'm Bob Iger.
Only the Sith deal in absolutes.
True.
I'm a Sith. Okay. Star Wars is over, so there's no more, and it's done, and it's over,
You mean
and there's
they
no
actually
more.
mean what they said?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's actually
The
over.
end of a saga.
And they actually don't make another Star Wars movie ever again, ever, and it's over. Because it's okay for things to be over.
I don't
It's okay. It's
I don't understand.
fine.
You're saying it's over?
Yeah, it's over.
You know that Star
It's okay
Wars,
for it to be over.
Do you know that in the however many years it was between the end of the prequels and Episode 7? Well, that must have been
About 10 years exactly.
Okay.
2005, 2015.
in that decade. Star Wars still printed money hand over fist without putting out
A ton of
new
content.
movies.
Yeah.
Right? And we would keep on going making money. We don't need more movies.
No,
Please
it's over.
stop.
You're very quiet.
Please stop.
That looked really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wonder, obviously the problem with Star Wars and filmmakers coming to it now is everybody has their own kind of definition of what Star Wars is and what it means to them.
Sure.
There's a whole generation of people who grew up with the original trilogy and got to infer a bunch of world building stuff that got uprooted with the prequels, which is why people were super upset with that, because it didn't match their own personal definitions of
Or
what
just
Star
what was
Wars
put out
meant.
there anyway.
Right. And so then there's a generation who grows up with the original trilogy and the prequels, and then they define their own thing, and then it gets kind of defied and thrown out, and everybody has their own vision for what Star Wars should be. Rian Johnson obviously has a vision for what his Star Wars movie should be that's totally different from everyone else. What Star Wars means to Rian Johnson is completely different to J.J. Abrams. And so you're getting this inconsistency here when you're trying to tell one, especially in a trilogy where you're trying to tell one story
In
and you
3
can't
parts.
agree
Yeah.
on what Star Wars means.
Especially.
You have-
especially when you don't even know what the story
What
that
this
you're trying to do.
or even have a vision for the entire story at all. You're gonna have that. It's just gonna be a conflict after conflict after conflict. So maybe the best way to approach a Star Wars movie is to not think of it as a chapter in a saga,
Right.
But to think of it Star Wars as a genre.
Yeah.
Like Bond movies? More like Bond
More
movies?
More like
Bond
Bond
movies.
movies,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or like it's just a genre.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
More
way
than
I wish
anything.
Disney had treated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, this is crazy, I, for one, kind of felt like the story ended already with like
When?
Return of the Jedi. Like I
No,
just,
dude, there were so many.
Episode
There's
6?
so many.
Yeah.
No, there was like a
There
huge
was-
cliffhanger.
There was
No,
tons of
but-
unresolved questions.
didn't
Yeah, yeah.
feel kind of
No, what? Because what happened to the
Conclusive.
Empire?
What happened to the Emperor?
What happened to the Emperor?
Well, he
What-
died.
No, but what
No, but
happened after that?
After, yeah.
After he died.
It's obviously Did you see his body?
No, I
You didn't see his body?
Yeah. So
Never saw him hit the ground.
obviously they were just setting up episod 7, 8, and 9.
What happened to Leia? Isn't she get Force, you know?
Yeah. What about the Force?
What about the Force?
Oh.
What about the Ewoks?
Oh. So, yes, I agree. From when Disney came in, they would have served all of us better, and I believe it really would have served themselves better if they had made independent films.
Correct.
One after another.
See,
that sort of stood on their own.
Right.
That's kind of why in the beginning of episode 7, I feel like that could have been really good. This planet that we've never heard of, Jakku, but the person we've never heard of, Rey, who's a scavenger, which is new to Star Wars that we've known of so far, just taking place on some other planet, some other system.
It was on Tatooine, though.
Wasn't on? No, it was Jakku.
Oh, there's a difference?
You're talking about because it's copy paste. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
But the idea,
Tatooine.
yeah.
but the idea of a brand new character
Right.
in this just already established universe is really interesting.
Right.
With her own development going on, a question and a goal and
Right.
something that she had going on in her life, and then they drag the other shit into it.
Yeah.
Then they have more stormtroopers and the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I was excited. After I saw episode 7, I was very much intrigued by all the questions posed. I was very interested in, I wanted to know who Snoke was and what his agenda is. I wanted to know who Rey was and what that was all about and all those interesting questions.
Yeah.
Aside from the that it was a remake of A New Hope.
Right.
But it did set up interesting questions.
Yeah, just like the first Star Wars did, at least in the
Right.
beginning.
Yeah.
Not at the end of the first of 4.
So you remember the flashback where they show Rey's parents
Mm-hmm.
getting stabbed?
In Rise of
9?
Skywalker.
In 9,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was one of those
Palpatine's
the
son.
biological child of Palpatine?
Yeah, and he just died from a stab
Yeah.
wound. Yeah,
Because they both look pretty normy.
they did.
Yeah, like regular people.
They did.
Hey man, Palpatine in the first 2, he
Yeah.
looks like a regular guy.
Yeah. They moved the I am your father to I am your grandfather.
Right. Yeah, so I'm like, but what about the parents? Which one was...
Doesn't matter.
the mom?
You're thinking
And
about it
what
too
are
much.
they doing?
You're thinking about it too much. Shut your brain off.
What's their motive?
Did one of them have the Force powers?
I'm actually more interested in what their relationship is with his parent.
What was their relationship to Rey that they never said, your grandfather was
Like,
the emperor?
Yeah,
was
the
the
emperor.
When did he have kids? And with who?
I don't know.
Like, what?
When he fell down the shaft and there was a lovely lady there at the bottom.
When Palpatine came up to... when Palpatine came up in... Which they're all... By the way, they all refer to him as Palpatine, which I thought was strange.
Palpatine's back.
Yeah, because no one referred
No
to him
one's
as
called him
Palpatine.
that
No one
in,
calls Rey Palpatine.
No, but I mean, like in 4, 5, and 6, they never say Palpatine.
He wasn't called Palpatine
at
for
all?
like
Oh,
70
yeah.
years,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that's funny. Because
so
that's
strange.
what everybody on the internet calls him.
'Cause it goes back. Yeah. And I love they were like, Palpatine's still alive. And they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like,
who by this time is supposed to be like a legend, right? Because apparently the Jedi never existed in these these
right,
things.
right. People are like, he's a Jedi. And they're like, oh, what? That's hokey religion. They're like, Palpatine's back. And
They're like, no way. Oh my God.
Palpatine.
Someone
I
in the-
remember him like he was yesterday.
Someone in the background just kills themselves.
Okay, that raises a question.
Yeah.
Did Palpatine win in this movie?
Oh. Okay. Wait. Okay. So go into that part.
Okay.
Where Palpatine is talking about where he
Right,
wants
so
he wants to
Palpatine,
die. Right.
His original plan before Kylo shows up
Right.
is I want you, Rey, my granddaughter, to give in to your hate and slay me.
Yeah.
Because I will then live through you.
So pause that real quick.
Yeah.
That part where he says, "I want you to strike me down." Right.
Yeah.
So we're copy pasting, obviously, from
Copy and paste.
episode 6.
Return of the Jedi.
Now, in episode 6, it was kind of like this emotional thing, right? Where Luke is there, and Luke is so angry with the Emperor because of all these things that are happening around him, that he could destroy him right now. He has the power to. He has his lightsaber right there. He can do it. And the Emperor says, "Go ahead and do it. Your hate will seal you to the dark side." Then they change it into something that's more of a
Yeah.
like a cult-like experience.
Yeah, he said,
Like
my spirit will go into you.
Yeah, my spirit will go into it's
Yeah.
no longer a
It's
change
a
of your
different
emotion.
motivation entirely.
Right. It's,
Right.
it's
It
not.
makes him selfish as someone who
Right.
must survive.
Right.
And it gives some credence to the idea that he's been living forever
Like it's-
because he doesn't want to die.
Well, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and now it's like a biological thing. Now it's
Yeah.
like you kill me and then I'm transferred to you. Haha. Like, it's not. It's no longer interesting.
Right, because in Return of the Jedi,
Or it's no longer personal.
when Palpatine is saying, "You strike me down, it'll be very, very bad for you."
Yeah.
Because even though Palpatine would be dead and killed by Luke would have cemented his dark
hatred.
side,
Yeah.
and he would have become a new generation of dark side Sith,
of
a
Sith.
very powerful
Yeah.
dark side
Yeah.
user.
And Palpatine was willing to die
For that.
For that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a
But
very
not so
personal.
much
yeah.
actually.
But not anymore.
Again, not anymore.
Yeah, after he died once, he was like, dying kind of sucks, actually. I'd rather not die.
I'm not gonna die. So the whole thing with being in Exegol and having this giant arena filled with people and guards for some reason. Not
Yeah.
sure why they needed guards if she was going to attack him
Nobody
anyway.
can find this planet where they have guards.
So she's there, and he's like, "Strike me down," and everyone's like chanting, "Yeah, strike!" I'm like, "This is like a sports game, dude. This is retarded. This is so dumb."
And I just want to, who's operating the claw that's moving his body
The
around?
Gladys thing, I really like
Dude,
that. Actually,
that was cool.
I thought that was
that
cool.
was a cool
Yeah.
little design.
yeah.
That was
All right.
interesting.
But
though.
back to
He
the scene.
used the Force to do that.
He told Rey, "You kill me, I win," and then Rey killed him.
Well, he killed him.
How did she used two lightsabers
to force the lightning back
That
on
was
him,
the
which seemed like a
funniest
very
thing.
easy way out to me.
They had this giant buildup, right?
Yeah.
She can't quite do it, and she has one lightsaber, and she even has
But when she had two,
two makes
This build-up-
all the difference.
the music drops out, and she says her line, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
line is what?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. She says
Doesn't
the exact
matter.
same
It's
thing
some,
he does.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah. I am Iron Man, basically. Yeah. And then goes, two lightsabers.
yeah. I was really let down by that because I figured Palpatine's fully restored.
Yeah.
Obviously, he pulls out his lightsaber now and
Yeah.
they fight.
And-
Something.
That would
But
be
instead,
interesting,
instead, for the third time in the whole saga, Palpatine Force lightnings himself.
the third time. It even made him. It even made him stronger in the first time he did it.
Yeah.
Well, the first time he did it.
He always falls for that.
You think he'd learn? Maybe I shouldn't use the Force shock on people.
They
It's
pull
okay.
out
When
the
he comes
lightsaber.
when he comes back in episode 10, then he'll know.
Have you seen him-
yeah.
Have you seen how easy it is for him to cut down Jedis with a lightsaber?
He's damn good at
just
it.
get his lightsaber out. Force lightning is not a good trick.
Oh man.
Anyway,
No, he would have only won if Rey used a lightsaber to kill him.
oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he forgot to
Because
mention.
here's what I saw.
Okay.
I saw Rey doing what the Emperor wanted her to do. And then at the end, she goes and takes over the ancestral home of the Skywalkers, buries the evidence of the Skywalkers ever existing, and pulls out a brand new lightsaber that looks nothing like anything any Jedi has ever had. A stranger says, "Who are you?" And she winks and says, "I'm Rey Skywalker."
So she's an identity theft.
Which,
she's
seriously,
actually a Sith.
If the music was different and
Yeah.
her eyes turned yellow,
Yeah.
that would have been the reveal that the Emperor won.
That would have been. See, that's the fact that we can paint over it like that and it still makes
It
sense
still works.
is a terrible thing. That lets you know that there is no characterization.
Like, I
here.
didn't get why she went back there other than to stand looking at the two suns with the John Williams music playing.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously why you go there.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the whole build up. It seems like it's a build up for her to become a Sith. That's what it
Yeah.
seems like it should be.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
And it wasn't. And it's so strange.
I could just see Palpatine kind of walking and be like, "Yeah, I'm a Skywalker." Force those lightsabers into the ground.
At the end, they started writing episode 9 and like, okay, obviously we have to have it end with the dual sunsets, Rey looking off at the Skywalker home. How are we going to motivate that?
Yeah.
Like, well, okay,
No,
so at the end she beats Palpatine. How are we going to motivate it? She just flies there.
Yeah.
She goes.
She goes there.
She just goes there and looks at him.
She goes there so she could go sledding.
She's gonna go sledding. She's gonna sled down there, and she's heard about the binary sunsets. It's a tourist attraction. She's always wanted to see them.
No. She wanted to bury the lightsabers at the ancestral home of Skywalker.
That's where those lightsabers belong.
Because in the ground.
In the ground.
Because they would serve no good.
Yeah.
Outside of the dirt, I guess. So she buries them. So when she's an old hermit and someone comes along with force sensitivity, he'll be like, "I'd give you a lightsaber, but I got the only one in the galaxy."
But how are they gonna? No, it's actually perfect. It's actually perfect.
It's actually genius.
It's actually genius because they're setting up the next trilogy in the Skywalker saga, which will pick up with a farm boy on Tatooine. Who discovers a robot?
God damn it!
And then
get away from the Skywalkers already.
And then Rey, who will still be on Tatooine, she'll be an old woman, will be the role of Obi-Wan in episode 4.
You're just saying a nightmare right now.
Skywalker. And so episode 10 will be just like episode 7 in the way that episode 7 was like episode 4.
And they'll dig up the lightsabers.
Yeah, they'll dig up the lightsabers and Rey will say, your father wanted you to have these.
And then they'll be like, "Who was my father?" And she'll be like, "Your grandfather was Palpatine."
You're my brother.
Speaking of motivated, not motivated, the way they could have shot that old woman with the 4-eyed camel just a little bit. If they just shot the angle a little different, they wouldn't have revealed that she was standing in literally the middle of nowhere. She didn't come from anywhere.
Yeah.
She was 100 miles from civilization, just out for a stroll, going, "Well, who are you?"
Yeah.
They just needed someone to say, "What's your name?" Right?
Yeah.
And so this old woman with a camel, who's from nowhere, she escaped the Jawa vehicle or something.
You know what they should have had was just another person who was like Rey. That was a scavenger.
Something.
There you go. That would have worked.
Or a moisture
No, that's
farmer.
only on Jakku.
Right. They only have scavengers in Jakku.
Yeah. That's the difference between Tatooine and Jakku.
Scavenger.
Jakku has scavengers.
Yeah.
They should have had a Jabba creature.
Jabba the Hutt. It just should have been Jabba the Hutt at the end. It's subtitled.
Yabba do da da. She's like, "I'm Rey." Yabba da do da. Rey Skywalker.
That's the kind of shit that I'm just like, that could happen in this movie.
Why not?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be like, "Oh, hey, that's Jabba."
At this point, why not?
At
It'd
this
be
point,
Force
right.
Ghost Jabba.
Why not? He has a
Exactly.
lightsaber now.
Exactly. Dude, they have so much shit. Okay,
Jabba with a lightsaber.
I want to go back. Wait, I want to go back to. I want to go back to. What is it? Oh shit! What was the thing with the lightsabers?
She buries them.
No, I don't remember.
Is it when Rey teleports a lightsaber to Kylo Ren?
That was cool.
These force abilities are off the hook. They're out of control.
They are.
The force can now do.
I loved that.
Anything.
Yeah, I loved that they went that far with the force in here. Even if it was...
Well, they had to.
Yeah.
Because they have strongly now suggested that the dark side is way stronger.
They did suggest that.
Well, also, I don't know how they would have been able to write a script without
upping it.
All the problems they had. The Force is just so easy to scapegoat all your problems. Just the Force does it. The Force saves everything.
Pretty much. They should have used that actually instead of the dagger.
Helps.
Yeah.
It's just the force.
Yeah.
Feel it, Rey. Where is it?
Honestly,
it's there.
That would have made more sense than
It does, because that dagger, that's some serious bullshit.
That was ridiculous.
You're telling me the dagger. Wait, so it's bullshit that the dagger that belonged to the Jedi killer lined up with the Death Star that was half of it laying in the ground on some other planet.
It was literally that the little slide compass thing that comes out of the hilt. that made the match up the horizon map.
Yeah, with the broken Death Star.
With the broken Death Star.
Would have only worked from standing in the right
In that spot.
place.
No, see, it's Force.
It's the Force. Well, then why not just go Force all the way? Why didn't she just raise her hand and pull the
Okay.
wayfinder?
Let's talk about more issues.
Please.
The water skimming. Okay.
Yeah.
When they were
Why didn't she Princess Leia fly?
so they crash landed there, which
Yeah.
they glazed over. They said the landing gear was wet, and then we see them crash.
They didn't even show.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was a cutout
Too
scene.
expensive.
No, I'm guessing they filmed it, but decided not to keep it
Yeah.
for length reasons.
You could tell there were a lot of things that were
cut out. Yeah.
You could feel the
Jeez.
absence.
Yeah.
So they come out of the broken, what do you call it, Millennium Falcon,
Yeah.
and needs some parts, and they're like, okay, well we can get you over there tomorrow, and they're like, no, we got to get there now. And so Rey, being her arrogant self, which was kind of cool because it shows her arrogance, something that 8 didn't do. She goes on with the water skimming, and we're thinking, okay, so she's so force sensitive that she can do something like that.
Yeah, because it's a huge storm. The
Right.
waves are
Waves
dangerous.
are huge.
Yeah.
And they can't get the ship over there till tomorrow, so Finn decides to go over there using the same exact method
and succeeds.
and succeeds with the other girl.
Because he's force sensitive.
And then, after Rey has her showdown with Kylo, Finn gets to that area, and then the ship comes and picks up Finn.
They fixed it. It literally took them 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
To fix the Falcon.
I think I was sleeping during that part.
Rubbish.
So, okay. so we now have the full picture. We have the full trilogy. We have the full sequel trilogy.
Episode 10's coming out, but it'll be Episode 10 Part 1, 2, and 3.
Except they're going to call it Episode X.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode X.
Yeah.
And then the second one will be XR and XR Plus.
XR Plus and XS. Star Wars XS.
Okay, so what is the story of the sequel trilogy?
No, you're thinking too hard.
No, really. What is the story of the sequel trilogy?
Okay,
Well,
let's put it together.
If I have
Yeah.
to be specific, if I have to look back and say what is the actual story,
Yeah.
it's saving the galaxy from Palpatine.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It is.
Yep.
No. It's finding out that Palpatine was in control
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about Palpatine being in control.
Of everything?
Yeah. Well, because we start out with Rey.
Uh-huh.
Who is a Palpatine?
Who was a Palpatine? Missing her parents. The First Order comes and takes over shit, which was being controlled by
Palpatine.
by Snoke, who was created
Who
by Palpatine.
is basically Palpatine.
So and Kylo was being motivated by the voices in his head,
And
who
he
was
was
Palpatine.
trained by Snoke.
And he was trained by
Which is
Snoke,
Palpatine.
which was Palpatine.
And Rey was really, really, really good at the Force because of Palpatine.
Right. In Episode 8, when Luke admits that he almost killed Kylo, it was because he saw Kylo's future that was controlled by Palpatine.
Where he turned good.
Where he turned evil with the Knights of Ren. Holy shit, I forgot about the Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren, pivotal part of the whole Star
Okay,
Wars
there
saga.
was- okay.
Hold on. Before we get into that,
Yes.
the sequel trilogy's story is basically the same as the original trilogy.
Sure.
Yeah.
It comes to the exact same conclusion.
Yeah.
What's the point there?
The point is, that's stupid.
Uh,
I second that.
Yeah. You know, that's
The point is,
interesting.
I've been following these movies
That's
since
really
2015, and in the end, I could have just watched the original trilogy.
Oh, it's really interesting to think of, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, each having their own stories actually play out. Even though the original or the sequel, god damn it, the prequel trilogy didn't really have that much of a overarching story, but it was about Anakin.
And it has a completely different story from the original trilogy.
Right, it has its own.
Yeah, it has its own story.
It's as if 7, 8, and 9 were corporate
It's a remake.
entities.
They're remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as
Even-
if they knew
Except
there was an
Last
IP
Jedi.
that people
no,
would like.
but even Rian Johnson, who supposedly was, so subversive with his wacky ideas, still replicated many tropes from the original Star Wars movie. We had a throne room battle while friends were being eradicated somewhere else, right?
They even used the same thing where there was a window where you can look at them. Yeah.
Which they do in Rise of
And they do in this one too.
Skywalker.
Yeah,
Also,
it's literally done twice.
in its own trilogy.
Yeah, and then we had
Hoth stuff.
Yeah, we had a fake Hoth.
Yep.
Where they had to have a resistance person point out that it's not snow, just so you know we're not copying Hoth. He's like,
Salt.
it's salt.
That's what I do every day. You know, when I go out in battle,
Taste the ground.
I go like, dirt. And I just say it out loud.
Turn to the camera like he did.
Yeah.
He goes, not snow.
Yeah, I take out my phone and go, dirt.
Yeah.
And then you look at Gareth Edwards, who's the guy right next to that guy who says that line, and you're like, why is he in this movie?
Hey, cameo.
Cameo.
And also, Last Jedi is the part in the trilogy, same as Empire, where the characters are at their lowest.
So yeah, this was all meant to be this way.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, it was meant to be that way.
I think Kathleen Kennedy, from the get-go, her objective was, we're going to make a new set of movies, and we're not going to make the mistakes that the prequels made.
Right.
We're going to make movies that look and feel like Star Wars. JJ, I want you to make me a movie that is so freaking Star Wars that no one could complain about it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, we're going to use practical effects. We're going to build puppets and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, okay, we need a bigger Death Star.
See,
right?
it's like it's an art project, but it's to impress the teacher with
It's almost fan fiction.
Well, it's the assignment that he got, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It is an assignment.
And I feel like it was a production. It's a corporate thing. And that's why I keep coming back to that. Just because that's what the idea was in the first place. You know?
There's this famous YouTube video of Kevin Smith when he talks about when he visited the set of Force Awakens and how it made him cry because he saw the Millennium Falcon,
stuff that he's seen before,
all these aliens and all this stuff, and he was just like, oh my gosh, they're actually doing it right. But his interpretation was his emotional response was basically that of going to like a theme park.
Right.
You know, it was like, wow, things I've seen in a movie are now here in front of me.
Well, yeah.
So, but that's not what made Star Wars great.
So let me tie this into a different movie series that we very much enjoy by Ari Aster.
A series by Ari Aster?
Not a series, no. But what I mean is that the same director.
Chapter 2, Episode 2, Midsummer.
So this is what I mean, right? Okay, so he made Hereditary, one of the movies that all of us extremely are in
best
love with.
movie of 2018.
Really like that movie. And he came out with Midsummer right afterwards, a horror movie that is
one of the
by
top
the same
3 movies of 2019.
Sure. It's a horror movie by the same director. And so knowing what he made, Hereditary, we had some sort of expectation of to what to expect with this next movie. If they released a trailer that just showed everything that we had already seen in Hereditary, we probably would have been like, oh yeah, it looks like he's doing it again. And then went to go see the same movie, basically. It'd be garbage. Yeah. You know, it's because you're just recycling. Yeah. But what happened was that he delivered something that was a brand new experience.
Completely different.
That was by the same mind. And that's all we needed. Right.
Yeah, we needed somebody who had a clear vision for all 3 movies to start at the very beginning of this whole project back in 2015, or obviously before because they were making it before, and stick with the project all the way through and lead the vision completely.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't get that.
You know, that's
we
interesting.
got the remakes.
Well,
what if Rian Johnson?
Technically, that was Kathleen Kennedy's job.
Yes.
That's
in the
why
MCU, Kevin Feige is the equivalent, and he literally is a producer of all the movies.
I want to say that if Rian Johnson was in charge of the entire trilogy from the get-go,
I think that could have been.
I think that could have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, more interesting. Yeah.
And it probably would have ultimately told a different story.
Yeah, and JJ is a lot like, Ron Howard in this kind of sense, where he's a good person. He's a company man, right? He does what he's asked.
Yeah. Yeah. In Bob Iger's book he just did, where he talks about how Bob Iger wanted Force Awakens. He basically literally asked for it to be a remake. Like he wanted it to hammer home nostalgia. That was the number one priority of that film.
That's vomit
It's
inducing.
Disneyland.
It is
Right?
Disney.
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
Disneyland is,
Right.
right? Nostalgia park.
Right.
But that's why you go to Disneyland.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why it shouldn't have been episode 7. Should have been Star Wars the remake or some shit.
Yeah, I think that's might be what really bothers me more than anything about this trilogy is that when you really look at it, it is a remake of the original trilogy. All three of them are
Very much trying to be, yeah.
And what bothers me is that the people making these movies do not acknowledge that.
No, and that gets back to why I'm so angry and frustrated is that they keep insisting, no, this is the ending of that story,
Right.
the one that you love.
Right.
We are finishing it for you.
But the way I
Right.
see it is that's sensational. That's like I recently posted on Facebook, every single movie that comes out that advertises itself says #1 movie in America.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
amazing. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And it's like it's because you're generating
yeah,
excitement.
but saying that your movie is good or great is
Yeah.
different than saying this is literally
But they're
in
banking-
sequential order the
Right.
next part of the same story.
But it's because
when you
they're-
buy a box set of
Yeah.
Star Wars in the future, these will all be in the same box, and the movies that you fell in love with are now the middle chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they're banking on the same franchise, right? Someone knows Star Wars, and so they're like, we're going to connect this back to your nostalgia factor that you have in your head, which means we're going to say things like the completion to the saga.
Yeah, but it's the dishonesty in that.
Absolutely, it's dishonest. Yeah.
Kind of like,
Absolutely.
so I'm not a big fan of the Fantastic Beasts series.
Yeah.
I mean, I like all things Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But the Fantastic Beasts series is separate from the Harry Potter series.
Right.
While taking place in the same universe.
same universe, yeah.
And so there are cameos and there's tie-ins, there's connective tissue, but they are separate and they don't claim to be a part of that original storyline.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
And it works well.
Yeah.
There's a play called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's a Broadway play that is meant to be a direct sequel to the Harry Potter series. And it pisses the fans off, all of them. Because again, it's like we have closure. The story's over. Harry Potter and his team succeeded.
Yeah.
And now there's this new play where it's like, oh, Harry Potter's child is a new Voldemort. And because some of his evil was passed on to him. And so the story continues. And it's like, well, great.
Right. Right. Like, we don't need that.
No.
Yeah. It's like if Breaking Bad had a sequel. It's like, we don't need that.
Yeah.
Well, so like the El Camino.
Which
Just
wasn't that way.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It went like
It takes a tangent.
lateral. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't change the storyline
It has
of
nothing
Walter
exactly.
White.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Walter White.
Right.
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 Walter White's character is not touched at all. It's not expanded upon. His character is not elaborated on.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just
Nothing.
all about Jesse dealing with consequences.
Right. It's just more of his character.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they had this as maybe just Luke carrying on his training, I think that would have been interesting.
That's what also keeps getting me about this trilogy is all the things it hints at and all the backstory stuff is the stuff I actually want to see.
Right.
I want to see the Jedi training that Luke was doing with
Yeah.
his school and stuff. I want to see that story.
Or Leia becoming a Jedi.
Or Leia becoming a Jedi. I would
Yeah.
love to see that story of Luke training, like if it started with Luke training Leia,
Or
and then
even
that
a
goes
little
into the
bit of
school.
Han and Leia's life together.
Yeah, as a
Yeah,
couple.
That entire life
You
that
know?
we didn't see. Yeah. And apparently got split up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could definitely do a whole episode of Star Wars within the backstory of how Kylo Ren turned to the dark side with Luke.
Yeah.
Like show Luke training Kylo as a teen and all that.
That would be
little
really cool.
hints at the dark side and how does Luke
Right.
deal with something like that as somebody who has a lot of experience with people like that.
There was someone, there was a YouTuber that said something like, stay away from this timeline.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, just take a tangent, just go aside or something.
There
like
is
that.
no
Right.
shortage of opportunities to do that.
Yeah. And there's,
Yeah,
and there's a
in
ton
the
of source
galaxy
material
is-
too.
Yes.
All the stuff that they decanonized also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there
Wait.
actually isn't source material.
There's actually none.
Yeah.
Like Kathleen said, right? Okay. I want to go back to the Knights of Ren real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because just another thing that pisses me off. The Knights of Ren were a really cool idea, I thought, that was introduced, I think, in episode 8, right?
No, they were in 7.
7.
They say him in 7,
Yeah.
but we
You see him in 7.
Oh, we see him in 7.
I was
yeah.
hyped for Knights of Ren after 7.
Yeah,
Tell
I was
you what.
expecting they were going to be a thing in 8.
in 8.
Yeah.
But
They
weren't.
aren't in 8.
They're not even in it. So, so what I really liked about it, the production behind them, is that they're all character models for Kylo that were failed.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
which is interesting.
That's awesome. I love that.
But the idea that they're a team that is with Kylo makes me think, oh, cool, it's Kylo's own personal army.
Right.
So now he can do anything that's not Sith related, that's not Jedi related, it's just Kylo related.
Right.
And that builds a big personal thing with him, which is really cool. And they had the Knights of Ren in here like very few times, and every time that they showed them, they had a musical score that swelled.
They're important.
They're important, exactly. And they had close-ups, and
Until
they
they
had
have
sweeping.
to fight Kylo.
Yeah, they had sweeping camera shots. I was like, this is amazing, but they never did anything.
They got cut down like
Right.
like Palpatine cuts down Jedis.
Exactly. And so because we never ever saw them do anything, that part where they met with Kylo and he had to fight his own army lacked
It didn't
any
No
emotion.
Yeah. It might as well have been the
Stormtroopers,
Yeah,
anything.
Stormtroopers.
Might as well
The
been
throne
anything.
room scene with those red guys. And
The red, it might as well be the
know?
red
Oh, yeah,
guys.
same
Just
thing.
random
Yeah,
guys.
same thing.
Yeah.
That is so
The
sad.
throne room scene worked better.
Yes, it
Way
did.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so sad
Yeah.
because, like, I can see it. I see the vision of the Knights of Ren. If they had more in Force Awakens of Kylo interacting with Knights of Ren, and then maybe all through 8, he's
Like using them?
and
That
doing
would be
stuff with
awesome.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then finally, when we get to the point where has to fight them,
Yeah.
then like you said,
there's
there's that emotion there.
Like if he had like a leader of the pack type thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like a biker gang.
Right.
Yeah.
Except the leader is a freaking Sith.
Yeah.
And so then when he changes
Who
to
like
the good side,
he's like the Sith
That's
who like
interesting.
almost never pulls out his lightsaber.
Yeah.
He lets his thugs all go.
Yeah. And
Go
then the
do
gang
it,
turn
yeah.
the gang turns on the head.
Yeah.
And is basically a mutant.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea some filmmaker had a long time ago and then got retconned out of relevance.
Yeah.
Oh well.
you know your trilogy is in trouble when the movies within your trilogy are dissing
Each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like JJ's like Knights of Ren will be in this movie.
Yeah. And Luke's like,
And do you see the
I was
way-
wrong.
The way they were introduced, the first time the Knights of Ren are on the screen, they're on the Kylo's Star Destroyer,
Hmm.
and they walk past that general, I forget his name, but
Right.
he sees him and he goes, "Oh, those Knights of Ren."
Did the other guy say goals?
Huh?
Did the other stormtroopers say goals?
I don't remember that.
Because they walked past him, and then there were two stormtroopers. One of them said, "Oh, the Knights of Ren," and the other guy said, "Goals."
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Goals?
Pretty sure that's what happened.
Oh, like he wants to be a Knight of Ren someday.
Like he threw some 2019 language into
I
this.
really hope that's not true.
I'm going to go see the movie again pretty soon. So
You look out for that.
I'll have to keep an eye out.
Yeah.
But it just felt so forced when he's like, "Look, it's the Knights of Ren."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, as if like we've been
Like we've never
seeing-
seen it before.
Yeah. Yeah, and Luke says, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And he's like,
"Do you remember last movie? I was wrong.
I was wrong. That was stupid.
I was so dumb."
When he catches the lightsaber, he's like, that's no way to treat a Jedi weapon.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
the guy who
threw-
threw the
yeah.
lightsaber away.
That's funny.
Mark Hamill's performance there was a little weird.
It was a little strange.
He reminded me of Surfer Jesus.
Surfer Jesus.
Yeah, yes. He had his long hair, his robe, and this smirk, just like,
It
Yeah.
"I've
felt,
overcome."
Like he was
It-
Yoda. Yeah.
it felt like Mark Hamill was like skeptical. It was like he
Being
was.
sarcastic.
Yeah, I felt like he was hesitant to
When
be
he
in
raised
that
the
role.
X-wing, it looked ridiculous because he's all like,
He
Yeah.
looked
he
exactly
had this
like
big
Yoda did.
smirk on his head. He's like,
He looked exactly like Yoda did when on
Right,
Dagobah.
his eyes are closed. Yeah, I don't know if I dig the long hair Luke that much.
Oh,
Just
so also Force Ghost's hair keeps growing too.
right, yeah. Their style.
Is there any difference between being a Force Ghost and being alive? That's all I want to know.
Yes. The difference is you're invincible.
You're invincible. Can't die.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's driving me crazy. So the biggest crime here, I think, all goes back to
The biggest crime.
The biggest one? Yeah.
Yes, crime.
That it
How
was
many times
made.
have we said that?
It
this
all goes
episode?
back to them not having one director
Right.
for the whole story.
Right. Not one vision, at least.
Because there were really good ideas and we didn't get to see either side pan out.
Right.
Like J.J. Abrams set all these really cool ideas in motion in episode 7 that you pointed
Right.
out. And then, sure, Ryan Johnson sort of negated 7, so it didn't matter anymore, but he introduced these new ideas.
Right.
They really closely hinted at Rey and Kylo starting
Like
something
doing their own
A
thing.
new-
that was
whole
neither
order.
Sith or Jedi.
Yeah.
Which would have been the literal definition of bringing balance to the Force, right?
Right.
Getting rid of Sith
That
and
does make me
Jedi.
very mad.
And in line with Luke being like, oh yeah, Jedi has to end, right?
Right.
Like that could have been really cool. But we didn't get to see that either.
Because JJ's like, I know you changed my story, but I'm still going to do my story
I'm
anyway.
still gonna do my story,
I'm still
right.
doing my version anyway.
And he is so diplomatic. He keeps doing all these interviews where he's like, "There's no problem with me and Ryan. We're awesome. I love to rise the fall. What
Last
the hell
Jedi.
that movie?
Yeah,
called.
he was playing with toys. I just took him back.
Yeah, he's like, that's so, he was so great. It was great. I loved it. But you could see what's on the screen.
Yeah, it
It's
really
there
doesn't.
on the screen.
Yeah.
He hated
Well, it doesn't.
episode 8.
Yeah, it does. I don't think it matters whether or not his opinion of it, but he definitely negated everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So instead of having one story, we have a dang creative tug of war.
Yeah,
Right.
creative tug of war is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have had one director all the way through. And I think, if I remember right, I don't know if I read this somewhere or I don't know if I'm just speculating, but they're trying to do. The plan was to do multiple directors. The plan was to do JJ, Ryan, and Colin Trevorrow. Each one had its own director because their original trilogy each had their own director.
and they're trying to replicate.
And they're trying to replicate
Do
that.
everything the exact same way, please.
Exactly. It worked for the original trilogy. They all have different directors. So we'll just do different directors for everyone. But in the middle, we'll give that guy creative freedom for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, and we forgot one important piece. George Lucas
And George Lucas, yeah.
was there creating the whole one vision for the movie.
That's true, yes.
But they own the vision now, so that means it's their vision.
Oh,
That means it's in their head.
wow.
It's Bob Iger's vision.
It's Bob Iger's vision now.
His vision is dollar signs.
Babiger?
Bob Iger.
Iger. Bob Iger.
Babiger.
Were we right in any of our predictions?
Let's see. No. We didn't do predictions. We
Or
did
nightmares, yeah.
Right?
Okay, so
Well-
I remember I was actually wrong about Ray's arc not meaning anything because it did. It was a 7 and 9 arc, but it was an arc somewhat.
I don't even remember any of mine.
She didn't really have an arc. She had a starting point and an
I
ending
remember
point.
yours. Yours was that they would not explain
Oh, yeah.
Palpatine's return.
Yeah,
That's what you said.
and I was right.
Which they did.
Yeah.
They did. They
No,
did.
they didn't
No, they
didn't.
explain his return. No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
What'd they say?
How did he return?
Did they not? Because I thought they said one of the guys said something about cloning when they talked about that area, Exegol. When they were explaining the Pathfinder to all the people over in that system. I don't know what planet they were on.
It might have been Snoke because I saw multiple Snokes in a vat
It might have been Snoke that what?
that
was
was being cloned.
Oh. Okay,
all,
so they just
all he referenced was he said that he died once.
right.
And he's like, I died once. It was no good.
Okay, yeah. So I guess they didn't really.
They didn't explain
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
which is ludicrous.
To me, the visuals is what made it, though. I mean, like, I'm really not looking for a detailed explanation. As far as the question being answered, I guess they didn't. I guess I'm inferring that he's hooked up to all these systems and shit. That they somehow got his corpse and reanimated in some way.
there's no screenwriting class in the world that would say it's cool for you to bring back somebody who died on screen in your other movie and not give any reason whatsoever for why they're back.
That doesn't make it wrong either.
No, it doesn't.
No. It's annoying.
But it makes it shit.
It does. It's definitely annoying. Yeah.
So,
did you have any?
Well, my prediction that I was most afraid of being true, I said had already been confirmed.
The leaks, right?
That was just that Palpatine was real.
Right.
That
Yeah, Palpatine was back
actually
at all.
back.
Yeah.
But so some of the leaks were of cuts that were later replaced. There were several versions of this movie that were experimented with. And a couple of them are very interesting, and I question whether it would have been better or not to leave it that way. So in one cut, Palpatine regenerates, but not just back to Ian McDiarmid post.
Are these factual, or these were?
No, these are real. This actually happened and was screened to test audiences. So supposedly there's all these different cuts. One that was supervised by George Lucas. There was a period of time
of 9.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where they brought in George Lucas, and there's going to be a whole campaign to show us the Lucas cut. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
That'll be a thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
but anyways, they test screened all kinds of cuts, and there are two very significant pieces that were omitted from the film. One was they had a version of the story where Palpatine, by draining Force energy from Rey and Kylo, regenerated to the point of being a young man again, fully not post melted
Right.
Prequel Palpatine,
Right.
but all the way to a young man who was portrayed by Matt Smith, who is the actor who plays Doctor Who and
Interesting.
tall
British
actor.
He was cast in the film.
Yeah, he was.
And
He was
shot.
So he was actually shot
He
in there?
shot his
Yeah.
part.
Wow.
Yeah, he was supposed to be this young Palpatine who comes out and battles.
I can actually see it too.
Rey. The other thing that was cut out and altered was right now we have this montage of Force Ghost voices that encourage her to get up.
Right.
And you have to really pay attention to catch all the voices they pop in there.
Yeah.
But in one version of the film, Luke, Leia, and Anakin, portrayed by Hayden Christensen, appeared in bodily form and with lightsabers fought with Rey
Wow.
against Palpatine.
See, that'd be stupid.
Then, supposedly, they made another cut where they replaced Hayden Christensen with Yoda. Because the Hayden Christensen thing
Why is Leia in
working. To give her the send-off she deserves, okay?
She's a Skywalker. It's a Skywalker saga.
And then they dropped all visible Force Ghost from it and turned it all to voices.
Yeah.
The other rumor, not confirmed, is that there was a moment of Ahsoka appearing as a Force Ghost with other Jedi Force Ghosts, played by Brie Larson.
Weird.
Yeah.
She'd be in a ton of makeup.
Well, yeah, it's hard to find a real person with horns coming out of their head.
For some reason, I don't know why my mind went this way, but my mind went this way that they would have Brie Larson in there, but they would completely change the look of the character. Like she would just be like a human.
It would just be Brie Larson.
Because they want it to look like Brie Larson.
Yeah. Because no one knows this character.
Yeah.
None of the mainstream people know this character,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter.
I don't know if that was shot or not. That was just
That's
a rumor.
I am actually surprised. I was expecting to see a bunch of different Force Ghosts in there from everywhere.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been.
And some people saw the Hayden Christensen scene and said it was by far the best representation of him as Anakin they'd seen, because he has just more maturity as an actor now and carried himself in the right way, and that it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then Hayden Christensen was really disappointed when he learned that he'd been cut out of the movie. I am too.
I would have liked to see that. Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that too.
Though, all of those alterations still sound really bad.
Yes, totally.
See, that's my view on it.
None of these were good.
Yeah.
None of these are good.
Like I would love to see all that. Like we talked about in our Nightmares episode, that we could see someone walking down the aisle of the Death Star humming the Imperial March to them.
Yeah, totally self-aware.
Like we could,
Well, that's like the Knights
that
of
would be
Ren
funny.
moment.
Yeah,
Like, hey, Knights of Ren, can I get your autograph?
right. That'd be a funny thing to see, and I don't care if it is in it because Star Wars is destroyed.
I wouldn't have liked that. I wouldn't have liked that.
I mean, honestly, it would have helped a little with this new Force Ghost logic gap that exists if Luke and others showed up and actually fought with lightsabers, because we've already acknowledged that apparently Force Ghosts can do what they want. So
Might as well see him battle. Or
maybe have
whatever.
an explanation for why they're just encouraging her with their voices instead of fighting. Maybe they're not allowed to fight?
It is really strange that they can interact with the world.
Yeah, it is.
Very strange. Like I like how they went. Like when Rey and Kylo had that duel, that was like I don't know what they
Force Skype?
The Force Skype. I thought that was really cool
I thought that was
because
pretty cool too.
it was like to the point. It was like this new thing that they introduced in 8, and it's also I think the only thing they carried over, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The new thing that was introduced that was pushed to its limit, and I thought that was really cool. That even though like they could fight, but they couldn't see where each other were. They couldn't transport each other, but they could transport sometimes objects by accident.
Yeah.
That was really neat. The idea that we're now taking an old thing of a Force Ghost and now just adding new rules to it seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like I don't see that being pushed to its limit. I see that as just redefining.
Yeah.
the way a
Like
Force Ghost
honestly, Obi-Wan could have appeared in Luke's cockpit and
Right.
said, "Move over, I got this."
Right.
Yeah.
You know, let me do it for
Yeah,
you.
because it's like it's not only is it adding new rules to Force Ghosts, but it's like completely changing the context of which Force Ghosts operate,
Right.
and what they're actually capable of.
And what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
You know.
And it was one level of absurdity when Yoda summoned lightning.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm like, okay, well, that appears to be influence on the world.
Yeah.
Right. Beyond just whispering.
And it wasn't a
being a
direct
wise
connection, but it
mentor.
was like something that happened because Yoda did something.
It seemed to be
right?
that Yoda, maybe he just knew it was going to happen. I don't know. But it seemed to me like he did it. This movie 100% confirms that Force Ghosts have physical influence.
Yeah.
They can hold lightsabers, move stuff with the Force.
Strange.
Kind of sounds like they're lazy too, because they're not helping
Yeah.
when they're really needed.
We don't have the full context. We don't know all the things they have to do in Force Ghost world.
Yeah, if I were a huge fan, I probably infer that there's some limitations onto how they use their powers, interacting with the world.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would say.
It'd be nice if they could just say that.
Stick to something. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So, a long time ago, a movie called Star Wars.
What's that?
What's Star Wars?
The New Hope. Remember that one? The first Star Wars came out, and at the end of it, there was this big ceremony.
Don't talk about it. Let's skip over this part.
Big ceremony, and Leia puts a medal on Luke, and puts a medal.
You're drawing it out
on Han
on purpose. Well, wait.
And they turn around.
And then someone else.
C-3PO did he? Well, C-3PO didn't get a medal.
Chewbacca's there, and Chewbacca doesn't care he didn't get a medal. He like goes, ah, like, you know, he's proud of his.
Yeah, he gets the last line of the movie.
He's proud of his human counterparts. Yeah. And so someone
he knows his
felt
place.
This injustice had to be corrected because Maz, who is another pointless character who means nothing.
No, man, she gave.
No, it's a meme.
She gave importance to Leia's death.
Huh?
Oh.
Huh? No.
Leia passed on, and she went. She said something. I don't.
So she walks up to Chewbacca and goes,
And hands him the medal.
"Hey, I've been waiting for this moment to give this to you."
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's Han's.
I don't know. They're just,
No, they
Or
forged
it's
a new one.
Leia's.
It doesn't. They forged a new one.
They
No,
made a new
what it
one
is?
for
You know what that
It's a
is?
new
It's a meme.
It is a meme.
Yeah.
It's
You're
a
100%
meme.
right. That's it. Or it's a reaction to a meme.
It's the acknowledgement
It's
of a meme.
of the
No,
meme
well,
that
it's-
says, "Why didn't Chewbacca get a medal?"
Well,
Yeah.
it's just answers
fan
to the
service.
fans. Yeah, fan service.
It's stupid.
So absurd.
This whole trilogy is
It's stupid.
fan service,
Yeah.
and that's
Hey.
why
Stupid.
that's why 8 wasn't so well received.
Speaking of Maz,
Yeah.
remember in Force Awakens when she had
The
Anakin
lightsaber.
Skywalker's lightsaber? The one,
Yeah.
the one that had been cut from Luke's hand a long time ago, and we
Wait.
had no idea what happened to it.
Oh, the blue one.
That was
Yeah,
Anakin's.
these-
Holy
lightsaber.
shit, that was Anakin's.
Yeah.
So no explanation, except there is a moment where she is asked by Han Solo, says, "How did you happen to have this?" And she says, "That, my friend, is a
Yeah.
story for another time."
Yeah.
Well, what do you
Never.
know? That time never came. Of course it didn't.
Well, it's because
Because that had to do with the other
that
movies.
was a different movie. Yeah, that was a different episode 8.
That's a big question too.
Yes, it is.
That's honestly
That's really insane. I
That
didn't
is
even think about that.
freaking
that is
upsets me.
as egregious as Palpatine just appearing
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same thing.
I would have loved if they just completely subverted that trailer. If like Palpatine just never showed up in the movie.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. If like he was actually like whispering like one part in Kylo's head at one point and that was it.
Just a laugh.
Just to laugh, yeah.
It was Snoke behind it all. Snoke was Palpatine the whole time.
That would have been better.
I thought something
That would have been better.
I thought Snoke was gonna be I really hoped that Snoke was gonna be something way more relevant. That he wasn't
Oh,
just
yeah,
a puppet.
dude.
He was such
Absolutely.
an interesting character with
Yeah.
all these questions.
Yeah.
Very mysterious.
Yeah.
And
Like how did he rise
More
to power?
powerful
yeah.
than anyone we've ever
And,
seen.
and he's monstrous.
covered
looking.
with
Yep.
insane scars.
Yeah.
yeah, he's not like a human. He's definitely an alien.
Wears
of
a
some
robe
kind.
like Liberace.
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something.
a good
And
gold robe.
apparently-
Looks like he plays a piano in Las Vegas.
And he's like older than Yoda also.
Right. He looks like super old, yeah.
Yeah. He's like this character.
And he's wise.
Yeah, and he's very wise.
Like he knows things.
But it turns out he was just a clone made in a vat.
That's why he's monstrous.
Yeah.
It's because they messed up.
Because Palpatine needed
Now you can just make Jedi Knights anytime and Sith Lords anytime.
Yeah. Well, no,
He's
Palpatine
printed.
He was printed. He was a printed Sith.
No, because Palpatine was controlling
Print
him.
a Sith.
So
Oh,
you
I
can't
see.
just print.
You can't just print.
Yeah, you have to have someone in control. And Palpatine needed a puppet because Palpatine needed a puppet to do his bidding because
Try it.
Palpatine needed a puppet because
He couldn't leave
can't do
his robot.
he couldn't.
He couldn't
that's
leave-
right. That's
he
right.
couldn't leave the robot.
Okay, he
Okay.
couldn't. Yeah. So instead, we needed
almost
Snoke,
didn't make sense.
Snoke to be the
Oh, thank
puppet where he just sits in his throne the whole time.
Wait, couldn't he force project himself like Luke did?
No,
No.
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 No, that's a
Definitely
Jedi
not.
power.
No,
Definitely
yeah,
not.
Definitely not. This would have been way more interesting if what's her name?
Couldn't he force project himself?
If Rey
to be able to show up anywhere.
Well, no, the force projecting takes so much you die.
That's true.
Right.
You just
and he
die.
can't die.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because he'd already died once. So
He already
can't
died
die
once.
again.
Yeah. Well, and no one's ever really gone.
I mean, he wouldn't want to die because then he'd be gone forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one's ever really gone. Though, so.
Wait, if I would have loved it if not loved it. Okay, I would have more tolerated it if Rey was a creation of life from the Force.
That would have been awesome.
Because
I think that would be interesting.
I don't like the idea of the biological being, especially from Palpatine.
Who are his children?
Right, exactly.
That's what I think that generation
Makes
in the
no
middle
sense,
is so.
Okay, so
That's probably a great story.
right, that would have been an interesting story. So yeah, I would have liked the idea of someone like Darth Plagueis or someone that can somehow create life was just introduced, even if it was like a completely different Sith that we've just never
It
heard
would
of.
tie into the prequels.
yeah,
exactly.
because Anakin was a virgin birth.
Right. See,
Anakin is Jesus.
Anakin is Jesus.
Not a virgin birth. There was just no father.
There was no father.
but you know, Leia has seen her mother.
No.
That's
Leia
right.
remembers
she
her mother.
remembers her mom.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah, she has.
No, she doesn't.
He does that.
That's true.
She's
remembers-
delusional.
She remembers Bail Organa's
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what
yeah.
she remembers. Obviously, she doesn't
Obviously.
remember Padme.
Well, obviously.
Died 3
How
seconds
could she?
later.
Right. Well, it's a good thing George Lucas knew he was going to make the prequel trilogy
Yeah,
when he wrote that movie.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's also a good thing he knew that Leia was going to become a Jedi Knight,
yeah.
who wasn't a Jedi Knight actually.
So
He
I
actually-
was
he
I
did
was
know that.
told that the footage of young Luke and Leia training together
Yeah.
was actual real footage, not digital recreation, not de-aging or anything like that.
I could look terrible.
It was all new footage.
It obviously
Yeah.
was. And here, what was really wrong about that, I don't know how many people are going to pick up on this, but they used Luke Skywalker's pre-car accident face. They used Mark Hamill's face from A New Hope.
Oh.
It
That's
was
interesting.
obvious as it was plain as can be. They used New Hope because Luke's entire jawline. It was a huge news story when Mark Hamill got into this car accident because there was drunk driving involved, and it completely changed the shape of his face. And you look at Mark Hamill from the first movie to the second; he
Yeah.
has a clearly different face.
That's interesting. I've never noticed that.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
it's very clear. After the second movie, he looks like Mark Hamill of today, with a
Interesting.
little less weight and age on him, but it's the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
Chin
face.
becomes more squared.
Yeah, yeah, and that training scene with him and Leia was meant to be like on Endor,
Right.
like post
And so, yeah, so they
Return of
used
the
the
Jedi.
wrong face.
Yeah, which
That's
was wacky.
Silly.
They did use Return of the Jedi Leia face.
Yeah.
Which is funny because what it means is they chose the most attractive versions of each of them. Because in Return of the Jedi, Leia had lost like 25 pounds. Carrie Fisher had gone to a fat camp.
Really?
Yeah, because she looked the same as she did in A New Hope. And one of the producers said, "Oh, we're sending you to a fat camp to
Wow.
slim you up for the gold bikini scene."
Wow.
She lost 20 pounds and had a much more narrow face with more defined cheekbones.
I actually like that scene.
That scene?
Yeah.
I liked it too.
I wish they continued with
just-
that scene, actually.
I wanted to watch that movie, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to
That
see
was
that.
the only moment in the movie where I hit by the nostalgia
Yeah.
Oh,
of
yeah.
it. Yeah, because I was like, oh, that's Mark Hamill
Yeah.
with his
Young-
green
young-
lightsaber on Endor with
Yeah.
with Leia.
Youngest Mark Hamill with skinniest Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, I recognize that.
Congratulations. Did you tear up like Kevin Smith?
I started sobbing.
I clapped.
Did you hear the one person who clapped when the Rebel fleet
Yeah,
arrived?
One
Yeah,
person.
one person,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was awesome.
I hated that.
I hated that person too. I hated them so much. I want to just choke them out.
No,
I have huge problems with that ending.
dude.
I have huge
Billy
problems
D. What's the character? Donald
Billy D.
Glover?
Williams, Donald Glover,
Donald
or, old Donald Glover,
What's the character called? again?
Lando.
Lando.
Calrissian.
How did Lando? I know the Millennium Falcon's fast, but how did Lando come up with 10,000 ships?
No, it's in the
Is it?
so. In the end of episode 8, they talked about how they broadcast to everybody at the same time that we need help, and no one answered their plea. And apparently, if you broadcast it to an even bigger radius or go around while you're broadcasting it, then more people will hear it.
They said that in this movie,
No, they said that in 8.
8.
Yeah,
but that's what he did in 9.
yeah, and so
Without
that's what
saying
they
it?
did in 9. No, they said it.
They did say it,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did say it.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, "I'm going to go out and look for help,"
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he said it, but they did say that someone was going to do that.
and he really succeeded. Though he
Yeah.
succeeded in a big way.
Yeah,
But it
like-
was actually one of the few things in this movie that was set up.
seriously. Yeah. No, that ending. We talk about how endings always they go like this, up and down.
Yeah.
Good guys winning, now they're
Sure.
losing, now they're winning. But instead of that, it was like good guys winning, bad guys, good guys, bad guys, good guys, bad. And it just kept going like 8 different times, and I'm just like, just decide already.
Yeah, it becomes tedious.
Yeah. And I know what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to subvert, right?
Yeah.
They have like,
But then
we're breaking we're breaking the rule of threes here, and the bad guys are winning again. Aren't you
and
scared?
the good guys were in real trouble.
Real trouble
when
now.
Palpatine did the lightning into
right.
the sky.
And then it didn't matter
oh,
at all.
Yeah.
Episode 8, 9 is crazy because it's like they're trying to do it's like they are trying to do a lot different, but they're still doing the exact same story. It's like they're ripping off and trying to do things different all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really confusing. I don't know how to even word that.
So, do you remember the scene when they're running through the Star Destroyer to go get to the Millennium Falcon? Right?
Yeah. Wait. Running through the Star Destroyer?
Yeah, it's...
Oh. No. Wait, I don't know what you're saying.
It's Rey, Finn, I think Poe. I think it's all of them.
Mm-hmm. In this movie?
They're trying to get to the Millennium Falcon, and then Rey sees Kylo's little apartment and splits off.
Right, yeah.
But on their way, and Rey does like the Jedi mind trick on the dude, right?
Right.
So I know that it's like a given and a trope, and we've seen it a million times, that stormtroopers are just the easiest people to shoot and die in the world. But in that sequence, it was taken to a level of absurdity that was just...
Oh, were they all were doing like single hit kills?
Yeah,
the
it
whole
was
time?
it felt way more egregious than I've ever seen.
I actually
before.
really
It was
liked that.
Bam, bam, bam.
I thought that was so much fun.
I just felt like they did 5 too many.
Yeah.
Like it got to a point where it's just like, okay.
I liked it. I don't know why, but I like that kind of stuff.
Do the stormtroopers have active weapons?
My eyes were like glazed over at that scene, so I had no idea what was going on.
I liked the part where the Millennium Falcon took off, or it was coming up, and then like turned on the ignition and blew all the stormtroopers away except for Kylo.
Yeah, so
I thought that was fun.
So
that was cool.
It's more like a fan than any kind of like heat creating vent.
Okay, if you want to go into like the science of it,
it just like blows air. I'm guessing because
you don't do it.
That's kind of that the science logic. You can go into all the Star Wars.
So wait, well, okay.
Too. I just feel like we've seen
hold
other
on.
things where the tail exhaust has burned
Let's
stuff.
let's focus on that.
Not in
real
Star
quick.
Wars.
If you want to say like talk about the noise that it makes, or not even the noise, but the air that comes out of the vent. We're talking about the Millennium Falcon that's making noise in space for one, as everything else has done.
That's true.
But it's taking off in space, right? They're in space, and there's a giant window garage in space.
And
this is space that we're talking about, right? The vacuum of space.
In episode 8, the lasers that they shoot arc. In space, they arc.
Yeah.
Well, that's because there's a black hole nearby.
Oh, really? Yeah. And
Like,
also,
we
there's a
can't-
ship. There's a ship in episode 8 that runs out of fuel.
Oh, it wasn't in space. No, it was in a...
And it stops.
Yeah, it runs out of it runs out of fuel, and then all of a sudden the entire momentum of the ship changes. It goes from like, and then it runs out of fuel, and it starts doing like this kind of a thing.
That was another thing is...
It is funny.
You know those... I'll just talk about a whole... you know the Y-Wings
Yeah.
here? They had Y-Wings in the new trilogy for the first time. Right? Y-Wings are bombers. They didn't have them in episode 8.
They had a different kind of bomber.
They had slow-ass,
Gravity
really
bombers.
easy target bombers.
gravity bombers that they used in orbit.
Yeah.
They were in orbit, but they were
Were they low enough so that
they were
gravity
low.
was still working?
They looked pretty low.
I'm just like
There's enough gravity from the Star Destroyer.
I'm gonna give it the no. The Star Destroyer when it was hit sank into the planet.
Oh, they're right above a planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, when they're in space, they blow up a ship and it comes down.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is it?
Okay. Well,
They do.
that's a very specific design for a spaceship.
Right.
That's meant to be used in space.
I just mean like if you had Y-Wings the whole time, why not? just use them?
I know. Yeah. This bomber only works if you're by planet.
I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
How hard would it have been? And it actually would have been kind of cool if
To have, like, jets on 'em?
Yeah, just put jets on.
Yeah,
them.
jets on the bombs.
It's not that hard. It's very simple, and it actually would have been kind of cool.
No, because then you got to think of the technology.
Imagine if they could shoot the bombs out at the ship.
Why didn't someone
instead
use-
of carrying them and
How about someone just uses the Force and just directs the bombs and throws them at the bomb?
No, why
Why
don't
not?
you just send a Force ghost to kill everybody?
There you go.
Yeah, Leia.
I mean-
Leia should be pretty good with the Force, right? Why can't she be like, "Hey, Luke, come blow this up real quick"?
If Yoda and Obi-Wan just show up on any First Order ship, the two of them alone could kill everyone. It would just need enough time.
I really wanted Rey to be a Sith. That would have been so
I know
cool.
that's the ending that should have
That's
happened.
literally way too.
I know.
Bold.
It is too bold
way
and
too
risky.
bold. Way too consequential.
Yeah.
Control.
Can't give. We can give a female character an important storyline and a powerful one,
But she can't be
not
evil.
a complex one.
She can't.
No.
She can't be evil.
Yeah, it can't be. Yeah, it can't be complex. I mean, what would audiences think?
Kylo was actually more complex, wasn't he?
Kylo was.
He was.
way more
He was a
complex.
deeper character than Rey.
Kylo Ren is the most complex character in all of the new movies.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure they tried not to do that, but ended up doing
They
it.
did. I had something great to say. Ray.
This is great.
Rey.
It's really good.
Rey.
Leia.
I don't understand why Leia had to have. Why did they? Oh my gosh! I totally forgot about something.
Yeah.
I wonder if you guys spotted it.
I saw it.
I no. Well, I was
don't know
hoping
what
both of you
you're
saw
talking
it. So I don't have any evidence. This is pure guesswork, but they had the same angle of Leia every time that Rey talked to her.
Yeah.
And Rey did most of the talking every time she
I've
talked
been
to
very
her.
curious about how they managed to make the Leia footage work.
Yeah. So I think
Body double on the reverse.
on the
definitely on the
Yeah.
reverse,
But I
yeah.
think they rotoed her and they only had that like 2 angles to do.
Yeah.
And they stuck her right there, and it
Yeah.
was so obvious to me.
There were a couple times where she looked rotoed.
Well, it wasn't just that she looked rotoed, but it was like it was the same exact size of her and the same exact shot in different parts.
There was also like one point where she said something that was like so generic that you could tell it was pulled.
It could have been for
else.
anywhere. Yeah.
Like-
Most of her lines were that way.
Yeah.
You know, she said, "Where's Rey?" was one of them.
Yeah.
She said, "Never underestimate a droid," which could have
Yeah.
been at any point.
That was what a callback line too.
What a
when they do
callback.
that.
Oh my gosh.
They set up that line and then
And then BB-8 taps the thing and blows up, and
never underestimate a droid.
that was the only time that
That's
they.
the theme of the film.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like
Right.
really egregious, and
And then obviously her death, where she's completely shrouded in darkness the whole time.
that was another thing, was that her presence in this movie made no sense. Episode 8, even though it was stupid, like Leia had presence in that film. Like she was very important.
I was
Also-
shocked they made Leia a character. They really should have just had her die off screen.
They-
First scene of the movie is Leia's funeral.
They should have had her die in episode 8 when she got blasted away.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that was already behind them when she died.
Right.
So what they should have done is started this movie.
With the funeral.
It's Leia's funeral, and then all of a sudden,
But Leia's important.
Palpatine's voice gets force hacked into everyone's head. Did you hear that? It's Palpatine. The dead speak.
Leia's character in these 3 movies has I think been very true to what her character has been.
Yeah.
in
Well,
the
she
original
was
trilogy.
she was a princess, who could take care of herself,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's a Jedi Knight General,
She's not.
a
She
force
can't be a Jedi Knight.
General.
force sensitive god.
Well,
Who won't take any shit from no mansplainers.
Hell.
well,
no.
the Force stuff is set up in the original trilogy, and so is the general stuff.
They talk
My
about
father had it. My
Yeah,
sister has
Yeah.
it.
yeah, and you have it too. Yeah.
And Luke even is like, "I'm going to train you."
I like we've been over that. We like that idea, and if they had gone into that story, that would have been cool.
I think how they handled her Jedi and Force stuff was not well done at all.
It was
because it was like
really
half
strange.
ignored. They didn't know, like they weren't even sure what to do with it. That's what it felt like.
Right.
But I think her Leia as a general and her role in the movie, I thought it made sense.
Yeah.
Like I could see Leia being a general.
No,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, I like that.
That's what I mean.
That's what I'm saying is that she was important in number 8.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
In Force Awakens and Last Jedi, there were false leak campaigns to try to
Sweat. Yeah.
It's funny because with this movie,
It seems like it's all
the leaks
fake.
that I thought were fake
Yeah.
were actually real.
Yikes.
But there were false leaked storylines, and one of the storylines that was leaked for Episode 8, I feel like would have been so much better than what we actually got.
That's funny.
Because it suggested that the movie would begin with Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren are storming this rebel base. Everyone's dead. At the very beginning of the movie, everyone's dead except for Leia, who is hiding out in the top level. And Kylo Ren, breaks in, and it looks like he's about to just cut her down. And she pulls out a lightsaber, and they have like a
That would be neat.
fight before he does kill her.
Yeah.
And that was the end of Leia. And that's what sparks Luke to come back into action.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, dude, that sounds awesome. And then I saw the actual movie.
Oh no.
What can we say about the rise of
We can say
Skywalker?
lots.
Oh, can I order a pizza?
What kind of pizza
kind
you
of
getting?
pizza?
So were we right in our pizza predictions?
I don't even
I don't even
what I
remember what
said.
pizza I said.
So we don't remember our pizza predictions, but let's go ahead and try to formulate a pizza for this movie.
Well, maybe we'll formulate the same ones and we can compare.
There we go. I don't remember what pizza we came up with for episode 8, but
We weren't doing
we weren't
pizzas
doing
then.
pizzas yet.
oh, we didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pizza
okay.
came later.
Okay.
That's a pre-pizza review.
All right.
If this is your first review you're watching, sorry.
I can't believe you've made it this far.
Okay. If this movie was a pizza, what pizza would it be?
Oh, that's cute. If this movie was a pizza, it would be a pizza that was larger than you wanted it to be, because you're not that hungry. It took too long to get there, as well, and ultimately, you look at it and you just realize you didn't even want pizza to begin with.
Oh.
All right.
That's what kind
That's
of
a depressing pizza.
Yeah, it's totally.
My pizza rating for this is a pizza that it's a delivery pizza that you order. You call on the phone. You're like, I'll have this pizza. You're like, I'll have a pepperoni pizza, please, and a medium pepperoni pizza. And then you get it. They come. You give them a tip and all that, and you take it. You open it, and you see that your pizza is one. It's missing about 4 slices that are just gone. And then you go in and you expect it a little closer. You see, what is this? Because you don't see pepperonis on there or anything. There's not even like cheese really, but there's like cereal on it. There's like cereal on the pizza.
And there's 4 slices missing already?
Yeah, and there's 4 slices missing, and there's
Of the
cereal.
the cereal pizza?
Yeah, and it's like, it's not even like good cereal. It's like flakes, like corn flakes.
It's cornflakes.
It's like corn flakes, and like the crust is like soaked in milk.
And someone already ate?
And someone ate 4 pieces of that. Can you believe that?
And I
Yeah.
bet they loved it.
And they
They're
probably
telling
loved
all
it.
their friends that it was the best,
Yeah.
the best pizza yet.
Yeah.
That's maybe the worst pizza you've ever described.
It's pretty disgusting.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's barely a pizza, if
bad.
you could even call it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
This movie is a pizza that that is also delivery. But you open the box and there's no cheese and there's no sauce. They have pepperoni though. They remembered the pepperoni, but they forgot to cut it. And so they have like these big fat stacks of pepperoni on there, like the sausage itself, just a hunk, just big hunks all over it. And you try to get a slice, and you try to
So it's just bread and
eat it. Yeah, it's just bread and the
like
sausage,
big pepperonis.
and you eat it, and you're just like, wow, but that's a really interesting thing. But I'm not gonna eat this.
These
And it has like big bubbles.
is
Like,
this,
yeah,
Yeah, it has bubbles.
is this
yeah.
the worst movie we've ever seen? Judging by the pizza rating, this is like the most unhappy we've ever been.
It's still edible. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like Death Wish.
I felt like our pizzas weren't as bad for like Prodigy.
No,
No.
Death Wish had a terrible pizza.
One pizza I gave was like it wasn't even like cooked at all, and it was just raw ingredients.
Right,
I think
just
that would be worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least, my pizza rating here is a pizza.
I don't know.
No,
Yours isn't so much a pizza.
Cereal
no,
on bread.
no, but it's got ingredients on there, and it's in the shape. It's in the shape. Got ingredients.
Pizza-shaped food.
Yeah, but like that other one, it was just ingredients.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
At least you can still eat that other one though. This one that doesn't sound appetizing at all.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what it is. That's truth. It's the truth.
All
That's
right.
how I feel.
Either way, the verdict is that this was not a good movie.
And not a satisfying conclusion to the 4-year arc of these movies.
And
Almost 5 years.
Star Wars is dead.
And Star Wars is
Rip.
dead.
Rip Star Wars.
I just want to say Star Wars has been dead since 7 came out.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's true.
That's
now
fair.
that's
That's
true.
fair.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
That's true. We just didn't know it then.
Yeah.
Didn't know it until the ending.
Sad.
Can't wait till this. I can't wait
Could you imagine?
what to do next.
Could you imagine when 7 came out? If there was an announcement, hey, in number 9, Palpatine's gonna come back. What would have been going through everyone's heads?
I don't know. I think
Would
that
that
would
have
have
been
been
exciting?
I think so. I think it would have been received more
Well, if
positively.
it was announced back then,
Yeah.
my anticipation would be we're going to see a 7 and 8 that logically build up to that.
That builds up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Like anything could happen in movie 9 as long as 7 and 8
It's
give
funny.
us a good stepping
it up.
stone.
It's
Yeah.
funny what I just said as a hypothetical should have been what happened.
Yeah.
And instead,
Your absurd hypothetical is better than what we got.
right, what we got is actually the absurd hypothetical you would usually
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
And
Someone's like, what if in number 9 the trailer just had Palpatine?
It's so absurd when I think about it. Like if you decided, okay, for our last movie, we're going to bring back the villain from the classic
From
movies.
number 6.
Right.
It's like Voldemort comes back
That
for no reason.
That is seriously epic level reveal. Right? That should be a shocking, crazy moment.
Yeah.
You don't just blurt that out in the opening screen. You say it in text. You say it with printed words
say
on
it
the
in
screen.
text.
And it's in the first trailer.
Here goes the scroll. Palpatine's back. On with the movie.
It's in the teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The very first thing released for Rise of Skywalker
Yeah.
ends with Palpatine coming
Yeah,
back.
at D23 when they first played,
Right.
they had Ian McDruid come out to introduce it.
Jeez.
He's like, I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back.
and
And
we
they're like,
went
wait, is this a
crazy.
spoiler?
And he said, "Play it again."
No one's like, oh!
People went crazy.
Or like,
I like
orgasming.
that pizza. They like that milk-covered sausage
Cereal.
pizza.
Oh,
Anyway, let's end this thing.
Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.
bye everybody.